faithfully delivering value and interpreting great books from around the world. Hello, this is Sally Book Talk. Today we're diving into The Great Gatsby by the famous American author Fitzgerald. Can a self made man from humble beginnings marry a wealthy beauty? This story, which still troubles many young people today, had already played out nearly 100 years ago in this novel. In 1925, the 29-year-old Fitzgerald published The Great Gatsby, revealing the root cause of such love dreams shattering. This is a novella that didn't have much impact when it was first published. However, after the 1950s, it gradually gained recognition, ultimately propelling Fitzgerald to a prominent position in 20th century literature. This novel, which realistically depicts post-World War I American society, made Americans feel genuine confidence in their own literature for the first time. Afterwards, the novel was repeatedly reprinted, almost becoming a bestseller, and even became required reading in American high schools and universities. In 1998, the Modern Library ranked it as the greatest novel in American literary history. In 2005, in Time magazine's list of the 100 best English language novels, The Great Gatsby ranked second, just behind Joyce's Ulysses. Later, it was adapted multiple times into films and stage plays. In 2013, the film adaptation starring Leonardo DiCaprio made this novel famous worldwide. Just like Tender is the Night, published earlier, Fitzgerald's novel also has strong autobiographical elements. Fitzgerald's ancestors were once very wealthy, but by his father's generation, the family fortune had declined. He was able to attend university thanks to his maternal grandfather's financial support, which made him feel inferior. At 18, Fitzgerald fell in love with a wealthy heiress. However, this relationship ultimately met its Waterloo due to class differences, because the girl's father told Fitzgerald that a poor boy shouldn't dream of marrying a rich girl. This statement became a mark of shame for Fitzgerald, which he later recorded in his diary. After the failed relationship, Fitzgerald's feelings towards high society became more ambivalent. On one hand, he desperately wanted recognition from high society, hoping his efforts would be rewarded. But on the other hand, he developed a strong aversion to the power of high society. However, soon after, Fitzgerald met another wealthy heiress from the American South, who would later become his wife, Zelda. At that time, Fitzgerald was still a poor young man, leading Zelda to repeatedly threaten calling off their engagement. It wasn't until Fitzgerald's first novel, This Side of Paradise, became a huge success that he gained sufficient financial means to marry Zelda. In The Great Gatsby, Fitzgerald infused these experiences and emotions, setting the novel in 1920s America. This was the golden age of post-WWE economic boom, where young people dreamed of wealth, flocked to finance, hoping to strike rich overnight, marry heiresses, and enter high society. The protagonist Gatsby epitomizes these dream-chasing youths, born ordinary yet falling for wealthy Daisy Buchanan. To win Daisy, Gatsby worked tirelessly to accumulate fortune. After succeeding, he learned Daisy married Tom Buchanan from high society. So Gatsby reinvented himself as a mysterious millionaire, moved opposite her mansion, threw lavish parties, and ultimately rekindled her affection. But upon discovering Gatsby's true origins, Daisy decisively abandoned him. Poor Gatsby even took blame for Daisy's car accident, dying innocently by gunfire. Though depicting 1920s America, Gatsby's obsessive love dream and tragic disillusionment moved generations globally, making it among the world's most renowned American novels. The narrator is young Nick Carraway, who, after graduation, entered finance trading, bonds, renting a small West Egg house, neighbor to the protagonist. Gatsby To Nick, Gatsby was a mysterious millionaire, owning vast estates, castle-like mansions, private beaches, hosting extravagant parties with champagne-soaked guests, motorboats cutting through waves, and hydroplanes skimming surf. Gatsby's private carriages and Rolls-Royces ferried guests endlessly. Fresh fruits poured from New York. Industrial juicers effortlessly crushed hundreds of oranges. All this attracted intense attention from those around. Gatsby was the talk of the town, with journalists even coming to interview him. But his true identity remained a complete mystery to everyone. Some said he was distant royalty who'd inherited immense wealth. Others claimed he studied at Oxford and came from high society, while some even alleged he was a criminal who'd killed before. Yet Nick noticed something unusual. He'd often seen Mr. Gatsby standing at his doorway at night, arms trembling as he reached toward the green light across the bay. That light came from East Egg, where Nick's cousin Daisy, the novel's heroine, lived. Just who was this enigmatic millionaire? The novel gradually unveils Gatsby's background. Originally named James Gatz, he was born to farmers. Believing in a grand destiny, he renamed himself Gatsby, meaning God's boy or son of God, and became fiercely disciplined. Gatsby's father once showed his son's rigorous schedule: 6 a.m. wake up, timed sessions for weightlifting, rock climbing, studying electrical engineering, and work. It detailed baseball practice, other sports, elocution drills, and creativity exercises. Beneath it, Gatsby listed self-improvement goals: stop wasting time, quit smoking, read one book weekly, treat parents better, etc. When WW1 broke out, Gatsby enlisted and met wealthy Daisy while stationed near her home. This romance cemented his resolve to become wealthy. Only then could he be worthy of marrying Daisy. To achieve this dream, Gatsby embarked on his quest for fortune. Post-WWE, America entered economic prosperity, with wealth seemingly lurking around every corner. Rags to riches stories inspired ordinary American youth, and Gatsby epitomized them. Though from humble origins, they hoped to amass wealth through effort. So how did Gatsby achieve his fortune? The novel subtly implies bootlegging and similar ventures. In 1919, the 18th Amendment enacted prohibition, making the 1920s the dry era. But people soon realized alcohol couldn't be banned, giving rise to bootleggers who amassed fortunes and even spawned criminal gangs. Gatsby built his wealth through bootlegging, but Daisy couldn't wait. When saxophones wailed and bright faces shimmered with gold dancing shoes, Daisy moved on, dating frequently before marrying wealthy Tom Buchanan the following year. Tom came from aristocracy, graduated Yale, and was genuine high society. Their wedding was extravagantly lavish. Tom chartered 4 train cars for 100 guests, rented an entire floor at Chicago's grandest hotel, and gifted Daisy a $350,000 pearl necklace. But the night before the wedding, Gatsby's letter arrived, throwing Daisy into turmoil. Drunk and sobbing, she pulled out the pearls, telling her friend, "I've changed my mind. I won't marry Tom." Return these pearls to whoever they belong to. Yet this was merely a fleeting episode. Next day, Daisy married Tom without incident. Soon after marriage, Daisy discovered Tom's constant affairs. Her friend even caught him with a hotel maid. Tom vanished within an hour of their daughter's birth. Daisy repeatedly complained to cousin Nick, "I'm so tired of this life." They kept moving cities to escape Tom's mistresses: Chicago, then finally East Egg. And in East Egg, Tom took up with Myrtle Wilson, a garage owner's wife. Nick finally realized Gatsby's wild parties were all to catch Daisy's attention. Yet all summer, Gatsby's parties never drew Daisy. Gatsby begged neighbor Nick to invite Daisy over, allowing their reunion to seem natural. Touched by Gatsby's devotion, Nick agreed to help. Thrilled, Gatsby sent gardeners to trim Nick's lawn and even delivered an ornate greenhouse for the meeting. On the agreed day, Gatsby arrived at Nick's house 2 hours early. Yet when Daisy arrived, Gatsby jumped out the window and pretended to have just arrived by coming back in. Finally, he stood before Daisy, the love he'd dreamed of day and night. At that moment, Gatsby seemed like a different person, nervous as a little boy, and he absent-mindedly broke Nick's clock. But after finally talking normally with Daisy, Gatsby changed dramatically. He practically glowed, radiating happiness that filled the small room. Gatsby then invited Daisy to his home. He'd waited so long to finally show her everything he owned. To vast gardens, grand mansion, and luxurious furnishings inside. The whole time, Gatsby's eyes never left Daisy. He seemed to reevaluate everything through her reactions, since it all existed for her. In medieval-style corridors, classical music halls, antique bedrooms, before solid gold dressing sets, colorful flowers, and piles of exquisite clothes, Daisy was overwhelmed. Suddenly, like she'd been holding back, she buried her face in the piles of fancy clothes and sobbed uncontrollably. Gatsby had waited 5 years. From this moment, he'd finally gotten his love back. Gatsby was like Icarus from Greek myth. He glued wings with wax and chased his love and dreams like the sun, with all his might. To avoid gossip, Gatsby replaced all the servants just to love and be with Daisy quietly. Meanwhile, he worked hard to fit into Daisy's high society world, attending their parties and inviting Daisy and Tom to his. Hosting his own parties, he hoped to become like Tom, or even more worthy, to deserve Daisy. But he couldn't escape Tom's disdain and ridicule. At a party, Tom deliberately confronted him. Tom said, "Mr. Gatsby, I heard you went to Oxford." Gatsby was embarrassed. He'd only spent a few months at Oxford during army service. He replied, "Yes, I was there." Tom pressed relentlessly about Gatsby's Oxford years. Gatsby explained, "It was 1919. I only stayed 5 months, so I never claimed to be an Oxford scholar." When Daisy heard Tom's sarcasm and urged him to stop, Tom flushed crimson. "Shut up. Should I ignore some nobody flirting with my wife?" Tom already knew about Daisy and Gatsby's relationship. Ignoring Daisy's protests, Gatsby shouted at Tom, "Daisy never loved you. She only married you because I was poor, but in her heart, she's only ever loved me." Gatsby insisted their souls remained connected these 5 years apart. Tom initially raged, but hearing this, Tom relaxed. That spiritual connection Gatsby prized so highly, it meant nothing to him. He knew Daisy valued wealth and status above all. Pointing at Gatsby, Tom challenged Daisy. "Do you know what he really is?" "Ha! He partnered with bootleggers running chain drugstores, just fronts for illegal liquor. He's a bootlegger, not a socialite. And probably worse, I know men jailed working for him. God knows what other secrets he's hiding." Daisy stared in shock. Gatsby turned to her, desperately explaining, but with every word, she retreated. The truth of his bootlegging fortune shattered her. In Daisy's terrified eyes, Gatsby saw all her courage to leave Tom evaporate. After the party, distraught Daisy drove and killed Tom's mistress, Myrtle Wilson. As rumors swirled, Gatsby took the blame, implying he'd been driving. Meanwhile, he kept vigil outside Daisy's house all night, fearing Tom's retaliation. But Daisy felt no gratitude, nor worry for Gatsby. She sat silently at her lavish table as Tom plotted their defense. Though Tom had cheated, his mistress was already dead. Though Daisy had an affair with Gatsby, she'd returned to Tom. This upper-class couple balanced their sins. Thus, by pinning the accident on Gatsby, they could wash their hands clean of all blame. As the novel closes, Gatsby waits by the phone for Daisy's message, hoping she'll leave Tom for him. Alas, Daisy never came. Instead arrived Wilson, seeking vengeance for his wife. After a gunshot, Gatsby died, his ideal love costing him his life. Wilson then took his own life. East Egg and West Egg mirror Long Island's east and west shores. East Egg, where Daisy and Tom lived, housed old money elites with colonial mansions representing entrenched aristocracy. Gatsby's West Egg, modern palace, represented new wealth, never accepted into East Egg's hereditary domain by Daisy and Tom's set. Daisy possessed all the trappings for luxurious upper-class life, beautiful with a captivating voice, charming and alluring. In her youth, when first meeting Gatsby, Daisy genuinely loved him. Gatsby's gentle kiss made her bloom like a flower instantly. At their last meeting before Gatsby left, she clung to him, longing for his return. But her environment and class bound her to wait only 1 year. Even drunk and threatening to cancel her wedding after Gatsby's letter, she ultimately wore the 350,000 pearls, compromising with her era and class, the lavish wedding filling her void. In this material marriage, Daisy enjoyed luxury while enduring Tom's betrayals. She wished her daughter would be a beautiful little fool who could blissfully enjoy wealth without aspiration. When Gatsby reappeared wealthy, Daisy was tempted, even considered leaving Tom, but couldn't give the ideal love he expected. "You're asking too much of me," Daisy told Gatsby. "I love my husband, and I love you too." Born into aristocracy, Daisy was accustomed to grand mansions. Luxury had become deeply ingrained in her. For her, marriage meant wealth and status, sustaining material comfort. Love always came after money and position. So when she learned Gatsby was just a bootlegger with mud on his boots, she retreated to her safe, socially suitable marriage with Tom. As for Tom, he treated Daisy as a trophy while carousing elsewhere. Arrogant and cold, he sneered at Mick's bond business, dismissing his associates. He saw Gatsby as a nobody and despicable bootlegger. He treated women as playthings, slapping his mistress when displeased. Regarding his own infidelity, he declared self-righteously, "I love Daisy. Sure, I've had my flings and done stupid things, but I always come back and I've always loved her." He treated human life as worthless. When Nick confronted him about framing Gatsby, Tom justified, "Wilson had a gun. If I'd told the truth, I'd have been finished." About Myrtle Wilson's death, Tom only offered perfunctory condolences. As the novel states, the upper class selfishly escapes responsibility, hiding behind wealth and privilege with cold indifference, while others clean their mess. Tom epitomized this. His secure status let him sacrifice Gatsby without consequence. While others dreamed of joining the elite amid glittering lights, Fitzgerald mocked them with sharp prose, exposing the upper class's truth. Snobbery and deceit spread like plagues, corroding everyone. In that era, only Toms could survive New York's spiritual desert. Gatsby faced only shadowed dreams. Gatsby transformed from a poor officer into a wealthy man, undergoing a complete metamorphosis in dress, speech, knowledge, and assets. His lavish parties attracted celebrities from all fields, making even Daisy exclaim, "I've never met so many famous people." She strived to get closer to Daisy and to high society, but he was fundamentally out of step with his era. Extravagant parties and materialistic worship weren't Gatsby's ultimate pursuit. He couldn't emulate Tom's selfish cruelty. He'd never walk away from a car crash, leaving others to clean up. Gatsby's tragic death starkly contrasted with the selfish upper class and materialistic society of his time. Among the masses, narrator Nick possessed the clearest mind. He understood that wealthy men like Tom, living in luxury, were often spiritual beggars. Gatsby's greatness lay in his steadfast devotion to love. While Daisy abandoned romance for status, he pursued pure youthful love, sacrificing all wealth and life itself. A green light across the bay represented Gatsby's hope, the symbol of his ideal love. Nick essentially sang Gatsby's elegy, speaking for Fitzgerald himself. Gatsby's death amplified the novel's tragedy. Beautiful things perish while the selfish elite endure. As at the novel's end, Mick returns to Gatsby's mansion, remembering this dream-driven young man. Unaware his dream stranded him in this chaotic city, Gatsby still believed in the green light sustaining his ideals, in a future already fading. He wanted to run faster, reach further, seeing his destiny-altering dream almost within grasp. He believed one bright morning he'd seize that green light, symbolizing a beautiful future. The novel closes profoundly. So we beat on, boats against the current, borne back ceaselessly into the past. All right, that concludes our interpretation of The Great Gatsby. Reading notes are below the audio. See you tomorrow.